Did you know that docks doesn't technically exist in Ponytown? Now, you may be saying that, Danny, look, this is a dock, there's lots of players here, there's boats, everything, it's clearly a dock, but you would be surprised to hear that technically that's not a dock. According to the game itself, which we can confirm by just going to one of these random signs and clicking on it, this is actually a main harbor and not actually a dock. This is a really weird thing that I guess a lot of players probably don't know. Everyone calls it docks, so it may as well be docks. But technically, it's something that players get wrong, and this is just one of many things that players consistently get wrong in the game. For example, we can go back to the sign again and click it again, and we can see that there's a bakery. It's not a cafe. I've seen a lot of players call the bakery a cafe, when in reality, the bakery is just a bakery. It's not a cafe. Cafes are a little bit different. They usually serve, well, I guess technically this place does serve coffee, doesn't it? This place does serve coffee, actually, now that I think about it. But cafes usually serve, like, coffee and things like that. Yeah, they have coffee. They have coffee grinder, coffee grounds, everything like that. And Anakin taught them a lot about Riz or something like that. But anyway, this is a bakery. It makes baked goods. It doesn't make coffee. It's not necessarily a coffee shop. I guess technically it makes coffee. But anyway, the point is the bakery is not a cafe. It is a bakery. Now, there's another location that I myself have called a cafe before in the past, but it's actually not a cafe either, and that is the patio. The patio is just a patio. I don't know what other players call it, to be honest with you, but the patio is, well, it's not going to tell, oh, it is going to tell me on this sign. The patio is down this way, and if we keep going, we'll eventually make it there. I have made the mistake before in the past, and I'm sure some of you that are longtime fans have known that I have called the patio a cafe before in the past, and I'm really not even sure why I ever called it a cafe, because it's ridiculous. I don't know if I would call this a patio either, to be fair, but it's a patio and not a cafe. A cafe doesn't exist in Ponytown, no matter what anyone tells you. Since we're over here near the beach, I can talk about pearls a little bit because pearls are something else that players get wrong all the time. I've made videos about pearls before in the past, how they work, how to collect them, etc. However, those are basically inaccurate now because they've changed the pearls so many times and it's ridiculous. But pearls spawn along the beach randomly. However, they only do so during summer. During spring and fall and winter, they just don't exist. It's impossible to collect them, and anyone that is browsing the beach looking for pearls during spring or fall or winter just straight up aren't going to find them. They just don't actually exist until summer. And so that's something else that players get wrong all the time. Now, since we're talking about pearls, why don't we go ahead and talk about that pearls don't actually do anything for you. As you collect pearls, you will eventually, increase your number of how many pearls you have, and you can type in /pearls or whatever to show off how many you've collected throughout your Ponytown adventures. But this is all pearls are good for, is to show off a number. This is something else players get wrong all the time. They think, oh, if I collect a bunch of pearls, I will unlock a toy, or I'll unlock this, or this cool thing will happen, or this cool thing will happen. Nothing special happens at all from collecting pearls. The same thing is true for clovers. Clovers, however, are available much longer than other things. It is here during summer and spring. However, it is not here during fall or winter. You can't collect clovers until spring or summer, and so enjoy the clovers while they last, because after summer, they will be gone again for another year. But again, clovers also just don't do anything. They also spawn on clover patches during spring and summer, like I said. So again, that's something else players get wrong all the time. They're like, oh, I can find them year round, or I can find them anywhere on the map, or where the heck do I find them? It's these clover patches. Just go to clover patches, wait long enough, or just browse the map until you find clover patches and look in that clover patch. It's basically just like real life. You look at a clover patch, eventually you might find a 4-leaf clover there. It's very simple stuff. However, clovers also don't do anything except inflate an artificial number. Look at that, I got 621 clovers. Another thing that people get wrong all the time with clovers and pearls is that if you drop them, you can just get them back again. Let's see if I can find a clover real quick and kind of show this off a little bit better. So as you can see, there's one there, and all you have to do is click on it, of course. Now I have 622, and my 621 is forever ruined because I can't decrease the number. You can only increase the number. Anyway, if I drop this clover that I have in my mouth by typing in /drop like this, or using the actions, it's gone. It's impossible to pick back up. I will never have that clover ever again. The only way to ever get a clover again is to go to another clover patch and eventually find another 4-leaf clover. You have to get another one in order to replace the one you dropped, because once it's dropped, it's gone forever unless you find another one. Something else about clovers and pearls that people get wrong all the time. Yes, I know I'm talking about clovers and pearls a lot in this video, but it is one of the things that people get wrong the most. If a player, such as this player right here, decides to give me their clover, that actually won't increase my number. For example, if I have right now 622 clovers, as you saw earlier, if that player gives me one, I will still be at 622 because I didn't actually collect this one. I kind of stole it from a player, or they gave it to me, however you want to look at it. The only way to actually increase the number of clovers, pearls, or any other collectible item in the game is to actually physically get the item yourself. This also counts for presents. This counts for candies, which you can't actually give to other players. This only counts for certain things. And now I'm being recognized by Abdos, I guess. Is that what's happening? Hi YouTube, if you're recording. Well, hello. Anyway, those are the only ways to actually increase it, is if you actually genuinely get it yourself. You can't spawn these on your island as well, so that's another thing that players get wrong all the time. They're like, oh, I can't spawn the 4-leaf clovers and stuff like that. Do you have a server where you host games or the such? Back on to the rest of the video. If you hide a player, for example, if I go up to a random player, let's find a random player. There's not many players online right now, are there? Let's see. Right here. Here's a random player. If I click on a random player and then hide that player for, let's say, 15 minutes or something like that, they're now hidden. However, that player actually still exists. This is a strange thing to say out loud, but when you hide a player, that player still exists. They're still sitting there. They're still, well, I assume they're still sitting there because they were AFK. They're still sitting here. They're still in the server, and therefore they can still pick up clovers, they can still pick up pearls, they can still pick up toys, candies, etc., etc., etc. This is something I feel like I have to remind players every single year around Christmas when the toys, gifts, and stuff like that spawn everywhere. I feel like I have to remind players of this every single year because every single year there are a bunch of players that are like, oh, I'm just going to hide a bunch of players and then I'll be able to pick up all the gifts and they won't be able to get them from me because I'm going to get them first because they're hidden and therefore they don't exist. Believe it or not, there's a lot of players that say this every year, and it is something that players get wrong all the time. Hiding players doesn't actually remove them from the game. They are still there. It doesn't prevent them from collecting things. It doesn't prevent them from doing anything in the game at all. So those are the main things that players get wrong all the time. Now, there is one more thing, and I actually added this to my list last second, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to add this, but if we actually leave the game here real quick, you will notice that I'm playing on 18+ server. This is gonna sound weird, but an English server technically doesn't exist in Ponytown. If I actually click this arrow to select all the different servers, you will see that none of these say English server at all. There is Vietnamese, Indonesian, Chinese, Spanish, a lot of Russian ones, and then there is these two right here that you would assume are English servers, but technically, it doesn't say English server on there anywhere, and the logo they use here kind of implies that it's a global server, not an English server. However, it also is hard to say if it's a global server or whatever, because it doesn't say what server this is. It just says 18+ server and save server. It's very strange. And one last thing that I noticed that I say all the time, I'm always like, hey, I'm on that 18+ English server, but technically there's no English server, which is a really weird thing. But either way, those are all the different things that players get wrong all the time. What is something that you get wrong all the time in Ponytown? Please do let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.